Hi everyone, my name's Anna. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. On my channel we do makeup, we talk about true crime, murder mysteries, cold cases, you know, all that jazz. But yeah, it's a good time. Well, I mean, like, we talk about like crimes. I don't really know if it's a good time, but it is actually a good time because, you know. So if you guys are interested in joining the fam, just like, share, comment, subscribe, do your thing. But like I normally do, I want to give a little warning that we are going to be talking about a true crime case today. So we will be, you know, graphic descriptions of crime scenes, dialogue, adult dialogue, however you want to say it. And yeah, like, I just want to give warning that we will be talking about that kind of stuff today. So yeah, but we're gonna get right into it. And today I'm actually doing somebody that is a little famous, but like I normally do, I'm not gonna assume that everybody knows them because, you know, not everybody is like hardcore into this stuff. So yeah, and his name is Mr. Edmund Kemper. And whenever I was doing this research, I was like, wait, isn't Kemper the last name of April from Grey's Anatomy? I think it is. Anyways, on with the story. But yes, so today we're going to be talking about the infamous Edmund Kemper, a.k.a. Big Ed, a.k.a. the co-ed killer, a.k.a. the co-ed butcher. Sorry, he had like a lot of nicknames, but and we'll get into those and why. But anyways, yeah, so Ed was born December 18th, 1948 in Burbank, California. He was the middle child, and he had two sisters, by the way, forgot to mention that. But yeah, so he had two sisters. He was with his mom and his dad, and Charlene, Charnel, yeah, Charnel Kemper. That's a cool name, Charnel. I really like that. That's it's nifty. Anyways, so yeah, he was born in Burbank, California, and his parents were together for a little while, like 10 years after he was born, but they split up. And you know, like, it was really sad. Like, it affected him obviously because his parents split up, but he moved in with his mom, and his mom was not really like a very good influence on him at all. She was kind of like rough on him. Not kind of, well, she was rough on him. But anyways, they actually moved to Montana. His mom, why did I sing that? His mom, him, and his two sisters, they moved to Montana. Like I said, Ed and his mother, their relationship was very, very estranged. Estranged? Yeah, estranged? Yeah, very estranged. She was an alcoholic, and she was very, very, very critical of him. And Ed, you know, as a result of this, he would literally blame, like, all of his problems on her. Like, I got a C. It's my mom's fault. I punched somebody in the... My mom's fault. Like, you know, he would just blame every bit of his troubles and hardships in life on his mom. So you can imagine, like, the effect that that had, like, on their relationship. Sorry, I'm gonna try to, like, lower my voice because whenever I listen to my videos, sometimes I feel like I'm screaming at you guys, and I don't mean to. It's just, I'm from the South, and I'm loud. I got a big old mouth. So, yeah. But anyways, like I said, him and his mother, they did not have a very good relationship, and it resulted in just a lot of conflict and a lot of drama in the family, and it was just, none of it was good, like, at all. But at 10 years old, she made him move into the basement of their home because she was worried that, you know, he was going to harm his sisters, because around that time little old Ed started to gain interest in harming, you know, animals and stuff. And that's typical, like, that's like serial killer behavior, like 101. If somebody is cutting up animals around you or going crazy with animals around you, do not hesitate. They're crazy. Get away. Get away. Run. Do it. Get away. Get away. Get away. Get away. Get away. Get away. Anyways, so his mom, like I said, his mom was worried for his two sisters. So she, like I said, made him move into the basement. And this just caused more problems in their relationship. So, like I said, he started harming animals, and this caused him to kind of wander more into, like, daydream, I guess you would say, almost like what it would be like to, you know, hurt his mother and how it would make him feel. And I mean, it was crazy because he was so young, and he started to have those thoughts at a very, very, very young age, and it's not good for anybody, like, at all. But anyways, so like I said, at a young age, he also would coerce his sisters into playing these really, really screwed up, like, mind games with them almost. And he called this one game called the Gas Chamber, and he would mimic, like, the girls being strangled, or like him dying, or them dying. And it was just, it was very, very twisted behavior very early on, and it was not looking good for Ed in the future, like, at all. So at 10 years old, like I said, he kept on harming animals, he was bad, like, he was just real, real bad. And with that, like, being said, his mom kind of got tired of it and sent him to live with his father for a short amount of time. But that did not last long at all, because his daddy was like, not today, child. I ain't doing it. It ain't happening. So he was sent back to be with his mom, and it just, their relationship was so toxic. It was so, so toxic. And a lot of the times, I think with, like, especially with, like, serial killers and stuff, that a lot of their problems come, you know, obviously from childhood and from some sort of trauma that they have been through, or, you know, some sort of something. And I think a lot of the times, obviously, like, if that stuff was avoided, that maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have those, you know, types of issues in the world. But yeah, so, like I said, he got sent back to live with his mom, and she was like, not doing it. So she sent him to live with his paternal grandparents in Norfolk, California. So he was sent at the age of 15 to live with them. It was just, he was bounced around from place to place to place, and I can't imagine how that probably made him feel. Probably made him feel like nobody loved him or wanted him or cared about him. Like, I mean, I know that's how, honestly, it would probably make me feel. But, yeah. So, like I said, he was bounced around from place to place, shuffled along until he was finally staying with his grandparents in Norfolk, California. So, he hated living with his grandparents, because they lived on a farm, and it didn't have anything to do out there. Like, he just could not stand having nothing to do, and it just drove this boy, like, crazy, basically. And so, of course, he started to harm animals, like small birds and then small animals around the farm. And, you know, like, these people make their money from their animals and their lively stock on their farm. So, of course, they're like, oh, no, no, no. And Ed was really big into guns and weapons and stuff. So, at that time, he had a shotgun, and his grandparents ended up taking his shotgun away because of, obviously, because of the things that he was doing with the shotgun, and that just pissed him off. Ooh, that made that boy mad. It made him so mad. And I don't know if y'all can hear that booming going on outside. I have no idea what it is, and I'm so sorry. But he, like I said, his grandparents took his gun away, and it just made him, you know, even more crazy. And it drove, like I said, it drove the poor boy insane. So, around August 27th, 1964, Ed finally snapped, and at 15 years old, him and his grandmother had gotten into a confrontation in the kitchen, and it resulted in him shooting her and killing her right there in her kitchen in the house. And at the time, his grandfather was not around. I think he was actually like at work or something. I think that's what it said. Yeah, he was at work, and so whenever he came home, Ed actually met him like in the yard by his truck and shot him as well. And it was later asked, whenever, you know, he was apprehended, obviously, because he was, or we wouldn't be doing a story about him, but he actually, you know, he was asked, like, why did he shoot him, like, outside before he came into the house, and he said that he was trying to save his grandfather from seeing his wife like that. And it's kind of just like, thanks, like, no, bro, you didn't do anything, you didn't do anybody a favor at all. It would have been a favor if you would have just not killed anybody, but, you know, you had to do it, shouty, you had to. But anyways, so at the time, Ed called his mother, and his mother obviously was like, call the popo. And so that is exactly what happened. And Ed was, you know, arrested, and he was handed over to the California Youth Authority, and they did a lot of testing, a lot of testing on him. This eyeshadow, side note, this eyeshadow is like, for some reason, on this eye, is becoming a lot more harder to blend than it was on this eye, and I don't know why. And it's frustrating me. But anyways, so it's the Kylie, one of her palettes. But anyways, so I say that so much anyways. So they are, like, obviously, like I said, they did a lot of tests on him, and he was very, very smart. His IQ was extremely high. So he was like a genius, basically. And, like, that's not, you know, me paraphrasing. That's, like, for real. Like, he was literally a genius. And that just, it makes it more scary to me. I mean, it's scary in general, but whenever somebody's, like, wicked smart like that, it's like, ooh, that's freaky. Especially when it's somebody that's committing crimes like this, because I feel like they have way more confidence in themselves, and they have more balls, per se, I guess you could word it like that, to commit a crime like this and almost get away with it. Almost. But, so, he was sent to a mental hospital, and that's where he stayed until the age of 21. He was sent to the Atascadero, state hospital, like I said, where he was released at the age of 21. And doctors advised that he did not live with his mother, and, you know, that it was not a good idea, like, at all, that he should not be with her. But he didn't have anywhere else to go. He didn't know what else to do. So he had to go back to his mom, against doctor's orders and against, you know, everything. But at the time, he was 21. So I guess maybe they couldn't tell him what to do. But I feel like they could have made it, like, part of the terms of his release. But then again, I don't know if they really could have done that, like, at that moment. But anyways, so he goes and he lives back with his mom. And at the time, she was done with her, she had been, like, through a couple marriages, and she got a job at the University of California in Santa Cruz. And so she moved back to California, and that is where Ed lived with her and moved back in with her. So he was back in California and with his mom, and like I said, she was working at the, you know, University of California in Santa Cruz. So Ed, at the time, he was looking for work, and he was known to be a really, really big boy, like a really big boy. And he was like 6'9", 300 pounds. So he was hefty. He was hefty boy. So he kind of, you know, was a hard target, I guess you could say, to miss. So it caused a lot of people, I guess, to like notice him. But I don't think Ed was really like cool with like how big he was. I feel like it caused him more issues than anything, and that really bothered him. So he got a job working for the highway department in Santa Cruz. So he had the idea of becoming a state trooper, like a police officer basically, but he, again, was way too big, and, you know, he just could not pass the physical. He, like I say, he was very, very smart, but he just was too daggone, he was a big boy. He was just too big. So that's where why I made the comment about, like, I feel like it affected him a lot because he really wanted to be a police officer. That was, like, the one thing he wanted to do, and he couldn't do it because, you know, he's too big. So that really upset him, but he was friends with a lot of the police officers on the Santa Cruz Police Department, and he actually managed to get his hands on a trainee badge from one of his friends and a pair of handcuffs, and he also got a vehicle that resembled a cruiser, like a police cruiser. So that was kind of like his thing. He was basically like a wannabe cop, and it was stupid. But anyways, so that was his thing. That's just what he wanted to do, so whatevs, do you boo. But while actually working for the highway department, he had an accident, and he was on his motorcycle, and he was hit by a car. And whenever this happened, he was actually given a settlement of $15,000 by the driver of the vehicle, like, you know, insurance and like a little civil settlement that he was involved in. So he got his little old money, and he thought he was balling, you know, he just did everything. So he bought a new car, and he just was having a good old time with his life, and he was still living with his mom at the time. I don't know, like, if I mentioned that again, but he was still living with his mom, like, at the time, and he just really, I feel like, took advantage of him being disabled and stuff. I'm not saying disabled people take advantage of stuff, but I'm saying because of what he did. So, at the time, he couldn't work, and instead of being like, let's like paint, or let's do something productive with our life, no, he wants to commit murder instead. And he kind of goes back into his dark ways again. And with his new vehicle that he had just purchased, he kind of created the ultimate, like, murder vehicle on wheels, I guess, if you want to say. But it was not good. Like, he didn't do anything good whenever he had a chance, but, you know, squandered potential. So, like I said, he made his vehicle like a murder trap, like on wheels. It was just the ultimate little thing for him. And so, at the time, Ed noticed that there was a lot of female hitchhikers in the area. So, I guess he thought that he was, you know, going to take advantage of this and commit crimes against these women. So, he started to pick up hitchhikers, and his first one was May 7th, 1972. It was Mary Ann Pesky and Anita Lucchesi, and they were two college students, and they were hitchhiking when Ed picked them up. Their families reported them missing basically in like no time, and they wanted their children back. The family did a lot of pleas for them to be returned, and for, you know, somebody to just come forward with some form of information on what happened to, you know, their daughters. They were concerned, obviously, but Ed had kidnapped both of the girls, and he shot one of them, and he strangled the other, and he had handcuffed both of them, and he actually took the girls back to the house. And I just want to give like a fair warning that we are going to get like a little graphic here, but he took the girls back to the house, and he dismembered the bodies, and he cut off their hands and their heads for, you know, identification purposes. And because, you know, that's just like one thing that I've noticed that murderers and stuff do, serial killers, whatever, they tend to try to obviously hide the identity of their victims, so they'll cut off their hands and their head, you know, for like dental records and stuff like that, and fingerprints. It's gross. It's just gross. And he also performed necrophilia on the bodies post-mortem, and it just, he went all out. Like, he was just having him a crazy old time and just doing the most. Honestly, he was just doing the most. But he did not stop there. He was probably like, oh, like I said, he was probably like, oh, alright, cool, I got away with it, bet, like, I'm gonna keep getting away with it. So this did not stop him at all. You know, police are still trying to figure out like what is going on, and at the time there was another murderer, and he was actually getting blamed for the girls going missing because it was kind of like the same, you know, MO, and they just thought it was him, but it obviously wasn't. It was Ed. And so at this time, Ed continues to commit crimes, and August 15th, a female's head was found near the woods in Santa Cruz, and it was later identified as Mary Ann. However, Anita's remains were not found. Like I said, Ed had scattered the bodies and the remains of his victims. A lot of the times he kind of disposed of them in different ways. It was the same routine, but just would dispose of them differently, if you get what I'm saying. So at that time, police are still investigating. They're trying to figure out what is going on. They don't know what has happened. They think it's that one murderer, but like, you know, there's no evidence. There's just nothing linking this dude to possibly being responsible for what happened to these girls. So on September 14th, 1972, Ed picked up a KoKo who was waiting for the bus to take her to a dance class. She did not want to wait for the bus anymore. I guess she thought, you know, this bus is taking forevs. Like, I'm gonna just walk. Alright, bet. So, hitchhiking, I guess around that time was a big deal, and a lot of people did it, is what I've noticed in a lot of research and stuff, is that a lot of people hitchhiked around that time. It was just something that wasn't seen really as too dangerous, so people just did it. And she was walking along in Santa Cruz, and Ed spotted her. He offered her a ride, and she said, cool, you know, sure. and she got in the vehicle, and not long after her actually getting in the car with him, like, he basically wasted no time when it came to doing what he did. He was just like, let's get it over with, let's just do it. So Ed picked her up, he strangled her, he stabbed her, and then he took her back to his mom's place, or to, you know, the apartment, and she met the same fate as Mary Ann and Anita, which is really sad. He cut off her head and her hands. He sexually assaulted her post-mortem, and it was really, really sad. So he scattered her body as well. And like I said, he didn't have a specific place that he would dump victims. He didn't bury them or anything like that. A lot of the times he would just be like, alright, well, this is where I'm putting you, this is where I'm putting you. And that's just, all of it's messed up, but it's just like, whew, I don't understand how people do stuff like this and just go home and make a cheeseburger. But, you know, whatever. So, that did not stop him at all. In January, I guess he took like a little break or whatever, because he didn't commit his next crime until January of 1973. And Ed picked up Cindy Schall, shot her, and took her body to his mother's while she was out. And he put her in his room, and while, like I said, while his mother was out, he dismembered her body. And he actually kept her skull and threw her body in the ocean the next day. Like, he did not care. So he held on to this woman's body until the next day and then dumped it. I mean, like I said, all of it's jacked up, but like, it's just little things like that that just blow my mind. It's like, dude, what, you were in the room with her body? Like, I don't know. So, like I said, he buried her head. He had kept her head, but he buried her head in the backyard, like, of his mom's backyard. And, like, not long after he had thrown her body into the ocean, it actually washed up, like, on shore. And, of course, this was, like, concerning, but people, you know, they didn't know, like, what happened or, you know, what was going on. So they just presumed that it was another person that was a victim of, you know, this murder that they had basically, like, on the loose. So police were really trying to figure out what was going on, and just, you know, like I said, it's what the heck is happening. And little old Ed just kept going and going and going. He had, like I said, a little bit of break in between his murders. I guess that was for safety, or I don't know. I'm not going to assume, like, why. Whew! My face is white! Look at that. Anyways, so sorry, I don't mean to bring, like, funny, but, like, I try to laugh sometimes in these videos, because I feel like they're so messed up and so sad that I just want to bring, like, a little lightness into it. But anyways, so February 5th, 1973, Ed used his mother's campus parking pass, because remember, like I said, she was a professor at the University of California in Santa Cruz. So she had her little sticker on her car that, you know, notified them that she was an employee, obviously. So Ed used that to his advantage, and he got onto the campus where his mother worked, and that is where he would, you know, basically get his last, like, public, or not public, but basically get his last random victims. Well, he drove there, and that is where he picked up Rosalind Thorpe and Alice Liu. Shortly after picking them up, he shot them. Like I said, he wasted no time. And then he actually drove past campus security. Just like, he just dipped out with the girls, like, severely, basically dead in the back seat of his vehicle. He just drove right on past security. Like, he was probably like, what up, peace out, and just left. So, and my thing is like, how, like, as big as a campus is, well, see, that's where, like, I have to retract that statement a little bit. Because it's like, yes, as big as a campus is, I can understand how, you know, like, nobody would notice them or anything like that. But it's like, there's so many people on a campus, like, it's just insane to me. But anyways, so he took the girls back to his place. He decapitated them, sadly, and then scattered their body parts like everywhere. He just randomly just put them all over the place. It was just, like I said, in real random spots. He didn't have like a certain destination or a certain, like, in a dumpster or in a river, you know, like, he did whatever he wanted to do, I guess you could say. So he got rid of those 2 girls' body, and the bodies were actually found by hikers near Highway 1 in San Mateo County, California. So can you imagine imagine just like you're minding your own business, you're going on a walk, you and your mans, you and your woman, you and your dog, whoever, and you come across bodies. Like, I ruin your whole life, just in general. So the bodies were discovered, and again, they obviously had no idea, like, who was doing this. And I guess at the time, police, I'm sure, were probably getting real frustrated with everything, as one would, and they just really wanted to know, like, who is doing this? Like, what the heck is going on? So they're just keeping in mind, you know, that they probably have, like, a murderer on the loose, and people are freaking out. And because California, like I said, in the 70s and in the 80s was insane. It was, Santa Cruz was actually considered, like, you know, the murder capital at the time, because there was Ed and 2 other murderers actually on the loose, you know, around then. And it's just, whew, like, that's a lot. It's like, stay home. Like, you don't want to go anywhere, and that sucks. But anyways, so after Ed committed this crime, he, you know, proceeded to commit what would be probably his most known for. Obviously, the other girls are known for, but when you look him up, this is like the first one. And so it was April 1973, and it was actually on a Good Friday. Ed went to his mother's home, and they got into an altercation, like him and his grandmother did, in the kitchen. Later that night, his mom laid down to shut her little eyes and get some good old sleep. But little did she know that Ed was in his room waiting for her to go to bed and just planning what he was going to basically do to her. And as soon as she went to sleep, Ed comes creeping up in her room, and it's really sad, but he strikes her over the head with a hammer, and then cutting her throat with a knife. It obviously kills her, and he completely continued to mutilate this woman's body, his own mother, and he did not stop at all. It's kind of like he snapped almost, I feel like he did before, and he lost it. So he cut off his mother's head, obviously, and because that was his thing. And he actually went a step further, and I believe that this has to do with probably his mom bashing him and talking down to him, and just, I guess, in his eyes, being really ugly and nasty to him. He proceeded to cut out his mother's larynx, and he put it in a garbage disposal. After he cut off her head, and yeah. So he put her larynx in a garbage disposal, turned on the garbage disposal, gurgled it right up, and yeah. So at that time, he basically just had gone like almost on a rampage. I feel like, and this is just my opinion, I feel like this was kind of his last like hurrah, because he knew he was going to be caught, and he knew what he was doing and that he was going to get in trouble. He obviously knew what he was doing was wrong. He didn't care. And I'm sorry I'm being so dramatic with my makeup. I just really want to be. But I feel like he didn't care. So like I said, this was his last little hurrah before he was going to turn himself in or get caught, or somebody was going to turn him in. You know, like, I felt like he had a feeling that something was going to happen, that he was going to get discovered. So he was just like, you know what? I'm going to go big or go home, I guess. That was his motto, probably. So at the time, he hid his mother's body, and he called one of his mother's friends, and her name was Sally Hallett, and he invited her over for dinner to eat and to just, you know, have, I guess, dinner, obviously, like I just said, to have dinner and to just have a good time together. So he calls her over there, and she comes in, and shortly after she's there, like, again, he wastes no time. Ed strangled her and hid her body in a closet. And it's just like, this poor woman, she just came over there thinking she was about to get some food, and dead. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. You got to have something better else to do than just go around killing somebody. And anyways, so this was one of Ed's, or probably Ed's, like, most notorious murder was his mother and then his mother's friend shortly after. Now, I don't want y'all to think that I'm trying to shadow the other women, because they are just as important. But when you research, he is known as the co-ed killer, but he's also, like, one of his biggest things is his mom and his mom's friend. So I just wanted to say that that was why I was saying that. But anyways, so he put her body in the closet, and then he proceeded to flee. Oh my god, I just knocked that down. Ah! Okay, yeah, sorry. He proceeded to flee to Pueblo, Colorado, and that is where he checked into a good old motel. And on April 23rd, 1973, he contacted Santa Cruz Police Department and confessed to everything that he had done. And at the time, now, like I said, the the Santa Cruz Police Department, they were heavily involved with Big Ed. So they did not believe him at all that, you know, Big Ed, the guy that they knew, the guy that they loved, was the same killer that had been killing all these people. Like, they didn't believe it at all. So I feel like it was really hard for them. I'm sure they were taken aback. I'm sure they were just like, no, like, you're just doing this. Like, why would you confess to this, bro? Like, stop. But they arrested Ed, and whenever he started to confess and he was able to show them evidence and proof of everything that he had done, there was obviously no way that they could deny that he definitely was, in fact, the co-ed killer that they were looking for. So little Ed goes to court, and he is being charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. And whenever Ed actually went to the courthouse, he showed up, and he was all smiley and, like, basically smiling for the camera whenever he was walking up to the courthouse. But whenever he got inside and he sat down, the families, you know, whenever the trial started, the families started to give their testimonies and were on the stand, and he could not look them in the eyes. He was so, like, embarrassed, I feel like, or maybe he just didn't care, but his attitude switched up, I mean, real quick, and he just would not look at them. He kept looking down the whole time, and I'm sure that just made people way more upset. It would me, but he wasn't all big and bad like he was trying to make everybody think he was. And so, of course, he did the whole insanity plea, because obviously he was crazy. I mean, he was really smart, but he was obviously, like, bananas. And it was proven because he had been to a mental hospital before. He had killed 2 other people. So it's like, to me, this was kind of like a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, there's no need. I mean, I get that you, like, have to have a fair trial, everything, yes, but for him, I feel like it's like, alright, yeah, you probably did that, so, prison, bro, prison. But, like I said, this is my personal opinion. I am, you know, allowed to have them, and so are you guys. That's what I love about freedom of speech and all that, you know, say whatever we want. In the realm of being respectful to people. You have to be respectful of people. You can't just willy-nilly go out here and upset people and say hurtful things just to get a rise out of people, or just because you feel like you can. You need to be aware of people's feelings. So, and that was like my whole thing with Ed as well, and a lot of his statements and stuff, and in, like, you know, and everything, he just talked about the girls so nonchalant, and like they didn't matter almost, because of, obviously they didn't to him, and, oh, goodness gracious, Al, like, obviously they didn't to him, and it's just, ugh, it's disgusting, like, he's so disgusting. But anyways, so he was charged and he was convicted of all, you know, 8 counts, and he was giving 8 concurrent life sentences. So that means, like, when one life sentence is over, you gotta serve another one. You gotta serve another one, which I think is a little crazy. But if it fits, it fits. Whatevs. But, so, and, you know, I feel like a lot of that sometimes is, another little comment, I feel like a lot of that sometimes is for the family's sake, because justice obviously needs to be served in situations like that, and I feel like it's almost like a comfort to the family of, like, a reassurance. Okay, they're never, ever, ever getting out. Like, there's no way that that is gonna happen. And I feel like that's kind of what it is almost. You know, it's a good reassurance to the family that they're safe from this person. But, like I said, old Ed was given 8 concurrent life sentences, and he did a lot of interviews. He has made many comments. He has given a lot of statements about what happened, and they're all over Google, YouTube. But he just, the way he talks about certain things, especially his mom in general, it's just insane. Like, in one interview that I was watching, like, some of the research, one of the comments that he made, you know, he was asked, like, why co-eds? Like, what about them? Why did you target them? Like, what was it about them? And basically, again, he blamed his mom. Shocker, right? Like, so he blamed his mom for the victims that he picked. He said that, you know, his mom was kind of like a feminist, and she believed in women's rights, like, hardcore, and that was just something that she was very passionate about. And obviously she was a teacher at that college, so he targeted those women to kind of, like, be like, to her, almost. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But be like, to her, almost. Kind of like, you know, a big slap in the face to her, that the people and the thing that she took pride in, he was kind of, like, dismantling. That was, like, his whole theory about it. So, which is really, really sick. But some interviews, he just, like I said, he's so nonchalant about it. He's got a lot of books, biographies. Like, he's one of the infamous. He's up there with Ted Bundy and Dahmer, and Gacy, and Albert Fish, and H.H. Holmes, Belle Guinness, like, just a lot of them. He's up there with the infamous of the infamous. Richard Ramirez, just a lot of them. And I will be covering those people for you guys. I know a lot of people have done stories about them, but a lot of people don't fully know, and some people just want to see other people's opinions and other people's takes on, yeah, this situation. I really like this eye. It's very, like, that's how I feel about it. But yeah, so he is actually still alive. He is currently in California medical facility in Vacaville, California. So if you want to send him some hate mail, go for it. You know, do your thing. Whatevs. He's also quoted to say that he carries the girl's spirits with him, whatever that means. I feel like he just kind of plays up on the whole, like, mentally unstable. I mean, obviously he is. He was diagnosed, like, schizophrenic and stuff. But, like, he really, really plays it up and makes, you know, just makes a lot of people, like, very uncomfortable in interviews. Like, I can just, I don't know, I could just tell. I could really, really just tell that he was just, weird. Just weird. But yeah, that is Mr. Edmund Kemper. He was something else. Like, I feel like his relationship with his mom, like I said, it did have a lot to do with, like, why he was the way he was and why he chose the certain victims that he did. I mean, he even said that in interviews. That was literally the reason that he did what he did. And I feel like that maybe if his relationship with his mom was better, that he probably wouldn't have turned out the way that he did. And that's just speculation. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I think he should have been sent to the chair. That is what I think. He innocently took people's lives. I don't think he should have been let out of a mental facility. I'm not saying that if you're ever in there that you shouldn't be let out. But in his case, he committed not one but 2 crimes the first time. And he killed people. His grandparents. And he was let out. So don't sit right with me. Don't sit right with me at all. But yeah, so like I said, Edmund Kemper. Big Ed. The crazy psychopath. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. And I hate saying enjoyed, but I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me tell you the story and watching me do my makeup. And I gotta get some better lighting in here, you guys. I'm working on it, okay? Bear with me. I'm new to this. I'm working on it. We're gonna get it good in here. So, yeah. But thank you guys for, like, the views and all the new subscribers and just everybody who is being so supportive. Thank you to you guys. I love doing this. I love sitting down, and it's kind of like a little therapy session, I feel like. And it's really good for you and for me, and to just escape, you know, a little bit from our crazy world that we are currently living in. It's just insane. My town is going through a lot. There's been a lot of murders and shootings and stuff recently over the past couple of months, a month really, and, well, since Halloween, a little bit before that. But it just, like, everything just with our country is just insane. The protest, the Capitol, just all of that is just crazy. And I feel like this is a good place for you guys. It is a very safe place for you guys to come and chat and hang out with me. I love all of you. I accept all of you for who you are. And thank you, like I said, so much for joining me today. And let me know how you guys feel in the comments below about, like, me doing all these little famous serial killers and stuff. And yeah, so just like, comment, share, subscribe, join the family, and I will see you guys on the next one. Remember to stay safe and to be kind and to know that I love you, and peace.